In our continuing series talking about your rights as an employee during the pandemic, we're talking to attorney Michael Cardaropoli from Pellegrini, Seeley, Ryan, and Blakesley. Good morning, Mike.
Hi.
If I contract COVID-19 while working and it's a result of the workplace environment, am I allowed to collect workers' compensation?
That's a big question, and it's a question that we're getting from a lot of people right now. The short answer is yes. The law provides for protection for workers who have injuries or sicknesses that result from their employment. Now, one of the main issues in a workers' comp case is causation, or proving that your injury or sickness came from work. And as you can imagine, with something like COVID-19, the concern is showing that it came from your job versus a family member or a friend or going into a store. Some jobs and some professions lend to proving that causal relationship much easier than others. For example, healthcare workers, workers that are out on the front lines every day, that essential workers in particular, those workers are continuously exposed to the public. And for healthcare workers in particular, those individuals are not only exposed to the public, but oftentimes exposed to individuals that they know have COVID-19. So the law will give an extraordinary amount of deference to certain professions. But what I would like to say is that any profession is open to a claim of that nature. But we have to be able to show,
A
sort of
cause.
how that, yes, exactly.
Do I apply for workers' comp or unemployment benefits if I was working light duty due to a work-related injury, or I was laid off or let go recently?
That's always a question that we're dealing with in workers' compensation cases, but now more than ever. Quite often, people, when they get hurt at work, after a period of time, ask their doctors to send them back to work light duty because they don't want to be out of work anymore. And many employers will try to accommodate employees and take them back and have them do some sort of light duty work. Now, that light duty work could go on for several weeks, could go on for several years. And so the important thing is that if somebody is laid off or let go or is included in a reduction in force, but they have work restrictions, they have to figure out what's best for them, unemployment or workers' comp. And those two benefits are intertwined in certain ways. You can actually get both benefits at the same time, but given your situation, it may not be preferable. I think one of the important things to keep in mind is that unemployment is temporary. It only lasts for a certain number of weeks. So if you're let go from work and you are working with restrictions at the time in some sort of light duty fashion, well, you'll be able to get unemployment, but sooner or later that unemployment will end. Now, when that unemployment ends, you may be still dealing with medical treatment. You may not be ready to return to work. You may even have permanent restrictions. So it's important that if you are receiving unemployment benefits before they exhaust, to weigh your options about pursuing workers' compensation benefits.
And what do I do if my workers' compensation insurance adjuster is, and we know this happens, threatening to terminate my weekly checks because I can't get an updated medical note because I can't see my doctor?
Well, first off, Adam, workers' compensation insurance adjusters are always threatening injured workers that they're going to terminate their benefits if they don't get this or don't get that. And many times what the insurance company will do is they'll say to the injured worker, hey, you got to get me an updated note or I'm not going to pay you any longer. And in a normal circumstance, that's not too difficult because the employee can get in to see their doctor usually relatively soon. What we're facing now is that many doctors are not seeing people either at all, or they're only seeing them by video or by phone. And it's frankly very difficult to get an appointment, and many times even more difficult to get a note. What I'll say to that is that it's highly unlikely that any judge in a court of law is going to hold an employee, is going to punish an employee for not being able to get in to see a doctor given what we're dealing with now with this pandemic. Second of all, and maybe more importantly, I'd like to point out that a lot of people don't know that many cases that people are being paid workers' comp benefits, the insurance company cannot terminate their benefits and only can do so under a very limited number of circumstances. So those threats may be empty threats just to put pressure on employees. So you should know and understand your rights and whether your workers' compensation case is protected from a threat like that from the insurance company.
Great advice. And of course, people can get more information if they call you directly at PSRB at 800-785-5399, or of course at psrblaw.com. Mike Cardaropoli from Pellegrini, Seeley, Ryan, and Blakesley. Thanks so much. Great job.
Thanks, Adam. We're here for any calls.